Hey everyone, just a few quick things before we get started. Don't forget to sign the attendance sheet. It's just real simple. Just ask you 2 questions. Kind of looks like this. But that's pretty much it. Please enjoy. Hope you all learned something. Okay, welcome back. This is going to be worksheet number 13, and we're going to learn about pointers. And if you have any questions about this worksheet or any previous worksheets, feel free to stop by my office hours. All the times are listed on Moodle. Okay, well, let's get started. So the first question I have is, what is the address of a variable? So a variable's address is going to be the address of the memory space given to that variable. So basically, it's just going to return where it's located in the memory. And it's going to look kind of funky. And I'll give an example later on. Okay, but for now, let's move on. So how do you get the address of a variable? Okay, so this one's pretty simple. To get the address of a variable, and I've used it before in a sense, when I was doing y'all's a couple other programming projects and test prep. So you're gonna have the and sign and then the variable name. So this and sign is what makes it an address. And you've used that before in certain programming projects and pretest, where you've used to change variables used to change variables in main from a function. And it'll be clear later on about why that works, but basically, to get the address of a variable, you just need to put the and sign in front of the variable. Okay, so what is a pointer? So we talked about address a few times, but we need to know what a pointer is because that's what this worksheet's on. Well, a pointer variable it's kind of has to do with the addresses. So essentially, it kind of points to the memory address of a variable. So if we want to put that in words, we could say a pointer variable holds a memory address for another variable. Okay, well, let's try declaring a pointer variable. So you may be thinking if it holds a memory address, we just need to use the address sign, but pointer variables are declared a little bit differently. So if we wanted to declare a pointer to like an integer, we would need to do int, then star, and then the pointer variable name. It doesn't have to be PTR, but this is just an example. So the important part in declaring a pointer versus a normal integer like x is this star right there. The star makes it a pointer variable. And you've been using these in y'all's programming project 4, right? When y'all were doing double star add, right? And then you'll have the two vectors, const double v1 and const double v2. And so in this sense, it's saying that it's going to return a pointer to a double. and which it did, because y'all should be returning an array, a double array that's you're pointing a double array that's like a pointer in a sense. You're pointing to the double array, so you are returning a pointer to a double. Okay. So how would you set a pointer equal to nothing? So if we had int pointer, we could set it equal to null. Or a second way to do this is to do something like equal to null pointer. So you can do either null in all caps or null pointer, spelled PTR. Alright? So the next one is set a pointer equal to a non-pointer variable. So this one is going to look interesting. So if we have an integer x, and let's set it equal to 5, and we have an int pointer that we have declared. So now we need to set the pointer. Let's say we want to set the pointer equal to point at x. We can't just do pointer is equal to x, because this represents a memory space and this is just a variable. So the type conversion is not the right type, so there will be a type conversion error. Now, but if you remember what we were talking about earlier in the beginning, I asked y'all about variable addresses, and we said that the address of a variable is the address of a memory space. And since a pointer holds a memory space, we can take this pointer and set it equal to the address of x, right? And so to get the address of x, we just need to use the and sign. So we can do pointer is equal to the address of x. And that is how you would set pointer equal to x. Okay, so the next question I have is, how do you dereference a pointer? AKA get the value that the pointer is pointing to. So yeah, like I said, dereferencing means that you're going to go from the memory address to the actual value of what's in the memory address. So this is how you reference a pointer, right? With the star. And so to dereference a pointer, it's real simple. Let's say we had the same code as above. To dereference a pointer, you just need to do the star again and the variable. So now this is going to be equal, if we were using the same code above, this would print out 5, because its pointer points to the address of x. But this star is saying, hey, don't print out the ad. Like if we had this, like see out the pointer, it would be like, hey, don't print the star would be like, hey, don't print out the address of x, print out the value. So then it would print out 5 and not the address of x. Okay, so the next question is, what is the output of this program? Okay, and so this is going to be program 9.3 from your textbook. I believe it starts on page 509 and goes to 510. And so we have main here, integer x is equal to 25. Star pointer is equal to null pointer, so they have a pointer variable, but it's equal to nothing right now, right? And then we set pointer equal to the address of x. See, right here it says store the address of x in pointer. Okay, and then so it's cout here is the value in x printed twice, and then you print out x, and then you print out star pointer. And the comments kind of help you figure out what's going on. So let's kind of get started on the output. So the first cout was, here's the value of x printed twice. So we can type, let's do an output. Here is the value of x. I think there was a comma, yeah. Printed twice. And then return. And then it says cout x. So right here we see that x is 25. So then it should print out 25. And it says cout star pointer. So, and like I said above, the star pointer is going to dereference it. So pointer is pointing to the address of x. But by dereferencing it, it's going to print out the value of x. So, and you could guess with this, but with this line, but it will print out 25 again. All right, but let's keep going. All right, and then so 17, 18 are more comments. 19 is you setting the pointer now equal to x. And if you read the comments, it says you assigning 100 to the location pointed to by pointer. So what this means is this will actually assign 100 to x. Because since we're dereferencing the pointer right here, what that's saying is the value of x is now going to be equal to 100. Okay? And then so the next cout statement is, once again, here is the value in x. Oh no. And then it puts out cout x and then cout star pointer. So then it should print out 100 because it changed, right? And then 100 again. And I'm gonna try to make the picture a little smaller. Yeah, okay, great. So it prints out, here's the value of x printed twice, and it prints out 25, and then it prints out, here's the value, once again, here's the value of x, and then it prints out 100 twice. Because when you dereference a pointer, it prints out the value, and then if you wanted to reassign that value, you could do it through the pointer as well. Okay? So the next question is, what happens if you cout a pointer without dereferencing it? And so this is an interesting question. So the pointer is equal to an address, right? So what it does is, if you do it without dereferencing it, it will print out an address. And I can't really come up with one right off the top of my head, but we're going to make our way to Online GDB. Okay, so now we're at Online GDB. So now I can kind of show you what a memory address looks like. Okay, so let's say we have the int x, blah, 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 equal to 5. Okay, and then we have an int pointer, which we want to set, let's start off by setting it equal to null. But let me use, okay, and then we set the pointer equal to the address of x, right? Because otherwise we'll get a type conversion error. All right, and then so let's cout pointer without dereferencing it. And so this is an example of a memory address. You can see it's 0x and then a random string of letters and numbers, and so immemorable. And they're always going to change when you run. See if I run it again. So yeah, so they always change when you run them because they're being assigned to different memory locations in your computer each time you run them, because it's not the same for them. So, but it's always going to look something kind of like this. And so that's kind of what it looks like. So I'll copy this one and I'll put it in our Word document under an example. So that's an example of a pointer. So if you forget something that looks like that, you probably just forgot to dereference a pointer. Okay? So the next question I have is, what happens if you try to print out a pointer that is pointing to an array? So this is really interesting because of the way it works. But basically, when you print out a pointer that's pointing to an array, it's going to print out the first element in the array. And so you can use pointers, like in this one, the next one's how do you use pointers to reference any element. And there's actually a couple of different ways you can do this. One way is to do something like name of array. Well, we'll just put array. So like the array name, and then plus however many you want to add. So plus 1 would be the second element, plus 2 would be the third, plus 3, and so on. So, and then so just to add like a number. So if you want like a formula, it looks something like, yeah, where n is just an integer. And then there's some other ways to do it as well. Another way is to run a for loop. Is to run a for loop, and then, let's say the array's size is size, right? And then set the pointer equal to the address of the array element, and then to see out the pointer. So kind of like you would do it normally. Like this has a little extra step if you wanted to see out it like an array normally, but you could iterate through an array with a pointer like that. And you could actually also even do something like, if you were putting out pointer, like an array again. So like a second option, we're just gonna put like a little line to indicate those are separate, but I don't want to have to rewrite a for loop. So you could do cout star pointer, and then you could do like pointer plus plus, and that will also iterate through an array. I'll put inline here too. And that's kind of it for the worksheet. So the basic thing to remember is that pointers point to memory spaces. And so if you're setting a pointer equal to a variable, you need the address sign in front of it. And if you want to print out the value of whatever a pointer is pointing at, then you have to dereference it with a star. Oh, and we didn't even initialize these pointers. So let's just pretend like we initialized the pointer up here, which you would do with a star, right? Okay, well, if that's it for the worksheet, I don't really have any practice code for us to try right now. But if you have any questions, feel free to stop by my office hours or shoot me an email. I'll do my best to respond as fast as I can. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to sign the attendance sheet if you haven't yet. Thank you all for making it all the way through this video. Here's a little way of saying thank you.